I welcome all of you in the next topic, or you can say next unit of pharmacognosy and phytochemistry 2. That is, you are seeing in your screen, that is the chromatography, the most important topic in the phytochemistry as well in the pharmaceutical chemistry. So, this unit will focus upon the different basics of chromatography, what are the different types, what are the basic principles involved, and what are different applications of the chromatography in pharmacognosy and phytochemistry. Yes, we will focus on the phytochemistry part only. So without wasting any time, let's start the concept of chromatography. So I hope you have an idea about the extraction. Why I am saying extraction? Because later you will see we cannot directly go for the chromatography. We have to, first of all, we have to obtain a particular sample, we have to obtain a particular extract. Only then we will go for the chromatographic analysis of a particular substance, of a particular sample, of a particular drug. So I hope you have a brief idea about the extraction technique, and we have done several extraction technique in our laboratory also. Suppose Soxhlet extraction, we have done this part. Suppose hydrodistillation, maceration, decoction, these all are the extraction techniques. Okay, and you will definitely going to see why I am saying this, but before starting the chromatography, why I am explaining the extraction part. So let's start. You will clear all the doubts. So chromatography comprise of two words, chroma and graphene. Chroma means color and graphene mean to write, or you can say chromatos mean color or graphos mean to be written in Greek. Okay, so somewhat in the meaning of chromatography, a color is there and the written part is there, means we have to visualize some color. Okay, so let's go by the definition. It is a technique used to separate and identify the components in a mixture. It is a technique used to separate and identify the component in a mixture. So first of all, we should must know what is a mixture. So let's see meaning of a mixture. So just see the dictionary meaning of mixture. It is a substance made by mixing other substances together, and the process is known as the mixing. Means mixture contain two or more substances. Okay, that's why they are called as a mixture. And in case of phytochemistry, because our main subject is the phytochemistry, we will focus on the mixture of plant extracts. We will use the word extraction. Okay, and extracts are only prepared by procedure of extraction. So always remember one thing, with the help of chromatography we can identify a compound. Yes, we will separate a compound. Yes, we will purify a mixture. We will isolate a particular compound from a mixture, or we can say from a extract. And we know that extract is a, what is extract? Extract is a nothing. I'm talking about the plant extract. Okay, what is a plant extract? What is extract? Extract is nothing but it is a mixture of phytoconstituents. I hope you have idea about this. So extract is nothing but it is a mixture of phytoconstituent, and in a plant we know plant contain primary as well as secondary metabolites. Okay, so we can say what is extract? Extract is a mixture of primary and secondary metabolites. I hope this is a clear now. So how it works? It works by, chromatography works by allowing the molecules that is present in a mixture to distribute themselves between stationary phase and mobile phase. So always remember these two things. So for doing chromatography you need two phases. First is the stationary phase and second is the, you need a mobile phase. As the name indicates, stationary phase will remain fixed at one position, as the name indicates stationary, and mobile phase it will move from one place to other, or you can say it will move in a particular procedure in a particular phase. Let's see the examples. The common example of the silica gel G, stationary phase, also known as adsorbent, and where it is used in the TLC technique. TLC is nothing but is known as thin layer chromatography. So it is a technique of chromatography in which we use this powder, this silica gel, this is a powder, as a adsorbent or as a stationary phase. And generally we use different type of mobile phases as organic solvents. So different organic solvents like chloroform, methanol, ethyl acetate, benzene, petroleum ether, these all are the mobile phases in chromatography techniques. So always remember this point: depending upon the phase, chromatography is divided into two types. First is the normal phase chromatography, and second is the reverse phase chromatography. You can see in case of normal phase chromatography, when it is known as the normal, when the stationary phase you are using is always a polar compound, and the mobile phase you are using is always a non-polar compound. For example, yes, in case of TLC, in case of thin layer chromatography, we are using silica gel G, and silica gel G is a polar compound. Polar compound. I hope you have a brief idea about the polar and non-polar. Just remember this thing: polar compounds like silica gel G, they are directly mixed in water because water is also polar, and we know the basic principle, that is the like dissolve like. And non-polar examples include, for example, chloroform CHCl3. Okay, methanol, ethanol, etc., etc. There are number of example of the non-polar organic solvents. Okay, so in case of normal phase chromatography, stationary phase is polar and mobile phase is non-polar, whereas in the reverse phase chromatography, what happen? Stationary phase, that is Sp, is equal to non-polar, it become non-polar, whereas the mobile phase, it become some polar compound. Okay, let's see here. So the silica that is used in the non-polar or the reverse phase chromatography, you can see silica gel is used, that is C18 silica gel. C18 silica gel is nothing but it is a non-polar silica that is used in the reverse phase chromatography, also known as reverse phase silica. So here it is, C18 reverse phase silica gel. And the example of mobile phases in case of reverse phase chromatography are acetonitrile, THF, or you can say ethanol, or 2-propanol. So these all are somewhat polar mobile phases that we are using in the reverse phase chromatography. See again, in reverse phase chromatography, polar mobile phase is used, whereas in case of normal phase chromatography, we use mobile phase as a non-polar like chloroform, methanol. As a chloroform, you can use methanol is basically used in both of the chromatographic technique. You can see later why we are using these type of organic solvents in chromatographic techniques. Okay, main difference between the normal phase and reverse phase, I think you are brief idea. In case of normal phase chromatography, yes, stationary phase is polar like silica gel G, and in case of reverse phase chromatography, stationary phase is non-polar, again silica gel, but C18 bonded silica, carbon 18 bonded silica gel is used. That is special type of silica known as the reverse phase silica, and it is also very costly as compared to the silica gel G. And मोबाइल फेज की बात करें तो मोबाइल फेज इन नॉर्मल फेज क्रोमेटोग्राफी, यस इट इज अ नॉन पोलर लाइक क्लोरोफॉर्म, एंड इन केस ऑफ रिवर्स फेज इट इज अ पोलर लाइक एसिटोनाइट्राइल. Yes, in the end, I acknowledge all the online platforms that I have used to prepare this video, especially YouTube, SlideShare, Google Images, etc., and other online platforms for preparation of this video. This video is not intended for any of the commercialization purpose. It is only intended for you, for your students, for the education purpose only. Thank you. Good morning, all of you. I welcome you all in the next video tutorial of the chromatography. So I have a request that you must follow a particular sequence, a particular part. Suppose I am preparing the part 1 video and then next day I will prepare the part 2 or part 3 video. So you must go for part 1 video first, only then part 2, then part 3 and then part 4. Because I have a time limit, I cannot make lengthier videos. My time limit is 10 minutes, so we will make short videos and we will go by sequence wise 1, 2, 3, so further, so on. Okay, I hope this is clear. So we have started the concept of chromatography. So you will see in your screen, he was regarded as the father of chromatography, the most important personality in the field of chromatography. Without this person, we cannot even imagine about the isolation part. It was he who was regarded as the father, and his name was, yes, Michael S. Twist. Michael Twist in 1903. Okay, so he developed the concept of chromatography. So in 1903, what Michael had Twist is done, he used plant pigments and which is separated on the chalk columns. He used chalk. Just imagine, calcium carbonate is used as an adsorbent, as a stationary phase. I hope you have an idea of stationary phase now. Please go by video number 1, part number 1. Okay, so what Michaelis Twist has done, he used plant pigments using chalk. Okay, and next there are a number of other scientists that worked in the field of chromatography. Just see here, reverse phase liquid chromatography in 1950. Martin and Singe won the Nobel Prize in 1954. Gel permeation is there, and so further, so on. So why chromatography? What is the purpose? As far as the phytochemistry or pharmacognosy is concerned, yes, we can isolate, we can identify, purify, we can separate, we can isolate a particular compound from a plant mixture, or even we can say in the case of synthetic chemistry, we will able to isolate or identify a particular component. Yeah, so it has analytical applications are there, preparative applications are there. We use to purify sufficient quantities of a substance. Okay, so chromatography terms, there are a number of terms that used in the chromatography, particularly two terms, chromatograph and chromatogram. So many students are confused in these terms like chromatograph. What is chromatograph? Chromatograph is nothing but it is a equipment, it is a instrument. Okay, chromatograph is a equipment, whereas chromatogram is a visible record showing the result of separation of molecules or components of a mixture by chromatography. Yes, this is the chromatogram, not graph. This is the chromatogram. The peak, the result part is there, in which we can finally interpret it by using this chromatogram. So I think this is clear. Again, see a chromatogram. Next term we frequently used is the eluent. Eluent is nothing but it is a mobile phase or the fluid entering the column. We will see in the next videos what is column, what is column chromatography, etc. Okay, and next is the eluate. And eluate is nothing but it is a mobile phase leaving the column. Okay, suppose I say this is a chromatography. So yes, this is a chromatography, so we need stationary phase, we need mobile phase. So here this is, suppose this is a stationary phase and there are two components of mobile phase. This is the eluent, this is the mobile phase entering towards the stationary phase, and after the penetration of the eluent towards the stationary phase, it will elute, and it was collected by using a conical flask or using a beaker. So this is known as the eluate, that leaves the column, and that enters the column is the eluent. See this, fluid entering column, mobile phase leaving the column. I hope this is clear now. Next is the stationary phase, or you can say immobilized, because it is fixed, it do not move. That's why it is known as the immobilized, or you can say also known as adsorbent in some cases. Adsorbent. Okay, for example, in case of TLC, silica gel G is known as adsorbent. We will cover TLC, then we will clear the concept of adsorbent or absorbent. Okay, so it is adsorbent in TLC, that is the stationary phase, silica gel G. There is one term that will frequently be used, that is a retention time. Retention time means the time at which the component eluates from a column. Particularly, this was said in case of column chromatography, because there are different type of chromatography techniques. We will go them one by one, because in gas chromatography, yes, there is retention time. In case of TLC, yes, there is a retention time is there, retardation factor is there, we can calculate the RF value. So we will cover it one by one. So just remember this thing, it is a time at which component, or you can say your sample or your mixture or your plant extract elutes from a column. Okay, some components or some mixture will take time to elute from the column, but some are frequently been removed. So there are different type of compounds, there are different polarity, so basis upon their polarity they will elute. Let's see the uses of general uses of chromatography. Yes, we in the pharmaceutical company determine the amount of each chemical, purity of a particular sample. In hospital, we can detect the blood or alcohol level in a particular blood stream of the patient. So it has a application in environmental sciences also, that is determination of the pollutants in the water supply, in the manufacturing plant to purify a particular chemical or compound to make a final product, etc., etc. So it has a numerous applications. So let's see in a brief about the classification of chromatography. That was classified by different scholars by different ways. So this classification is based upon the attractive forces. This type of attractive forces are used in the process. So there is adsorption, ion exchange, partition and size exclusion. So particularly in your syllabus, that is pharmacognosy and phytochemistry 2, we will focus on the adsorption and partition part. Okay, so these two are of our main concern. So let's see them one by one. Please see this, adsorption and absorption. In adsorption, the molecules adhere to the surface of the phase. It will just adhere to the surface. It will not go inside the bulk of the phase. Whereas in absorption, molecules are drawn into the bulk of the phase. This is the absorption. Yes, so we can say that absorption is a bulk phenomena, whereas adsorption is a surface phenomena. Just see partition. What is partition? So partition is a method of separation in which the components present in the mixture get distributed more likely into two liquid phases because of the difference in their partition coefficient. So first of all, see what is partitioning. Partitioning is nothing but it is a movement of molecule from one phase to another. Just see the definition of partition coefficient again. So when a solute that is soluble in each of two immiscible liquids, suppose a particular compound that is soluble in two immiscible liquid, and in respect of chromatography, we can say stationary phase and mobile phase are the two immiscible phases. They cannot mix each other. And the solute, in case of chromato, we can say a particular sample or a particular mixture. So when a solute that is soluble in each of two immiscible liquids distribute between the two immiscible liquids, the solute distribute itself in such a way that the ratio of its concentration or the solubility in two liquid phases is equal to the constant that is known as the partition coefficient. So I hope you have a brief idea. Don't worry, we will go in detail about the adsorption and the partition chromatography in the next video. I will make a one video for adsorption and one separate video for the partition chromatography, because these two are the very important concept. First of all, just remember one thing, adsorption, this is the classification based upon the attractive forces, and based upon this classification, chromatography is classified into four types: adsorption chromatography, ion exchange chromatography, partition and size exclusion chromatography. Remember this thing, example of adsorption chromatography is TLC or column chromatography, whereas example of partition chromatography is paper chromatography. Okay, see you in the next video. We will go in the detail in the next videos. Thank you for your patience and listening. Yes, in the end, I acknowledge all the online platforms that I have used to prepare this video, especially YouTube, SlideShare, Google Images, etc. and other online platforms for preparation of this video. This video is not intended for any of the commercialization purpose. It is only intended for you, for your students, for the education purpose only. Thank you. I welcome you all in the next video tutorial of the chromatography, that is the basic concepts. In this video we are going to cover the basic concepts of adsorption, because in our syllabus there are a number of techniques like TLC or HPTLC or column chromatography that is based upon the basic principle of adsorption. So first of all, let's clear the difference between absorption and adsorption. So absorption, you can see the molecules are drawn into the bulk of the phase, means it is a bulk phenomena. Okay, and adsorption, it is a surface phenomena because the molecules are only adhered to the surface. And why this is used in chromatography? Because only with the help of this principle, as the molecules are adhered to the surface, we can easily separate out them, or we can easily isolate them, we can easily purify them, we can easily identify them. So chromatography is achieved. We know chromatography is a separation technique, it is identification technique, it is a purification, and yes, it is isolation technique. So with the help of this principle, that is the adsorption, we can able to isolate, purify, identify or separate the compounds present in a mixture. See again, absorption. Absorption is a bulk phenomena, whereas adsorption is a surface phenomena. So let's see, adsorption chromatography is a technique of chromatography in which, based on the principle of adsorption, yes, we have cleared this concept, and here the separation is based upon the interaction of adsorbate with the adsorbent. So in this type of chromatography we have used the adsorbent. The adsorbent is the surface and the adsorbate is the molecules of interest that are getting adsorbed on the adsorbent. So let's see first of all what is adsorbent or adsorbate. So let's see the dictionary being of adsorbent. It is a substance that adsorb another. Just see the example of different type of adsorbents used in chromatography. We use strong adsorbent like activated charcoal, Fuller's earth, alumina. Alumina is very common. Then there are intermediate like silica gel. We extensively use this type of silica gel, that is adsorbent, in the chromatography. And this silica gel are of different types, different grades in different types of chromatography even. Suppose in case of TLC, that is thin layer chromatography, we use silica gel G, and here G stands from gypsum, that is the calcium sulfate, and it acts as a binder, that is the gypsum. Okay, we will cover in TLC, don't worry, in detail. Third one is the weak adsorbent like talc, starch, or even we use the sucrose powder. So these all are the adsorbents used in the chromatography. Okay, so I think you have a brief idea about the adsorbent. What is adsorbent? We have idea, we have covered this adsorbent. What is adsorbate? And this adsorbate, it is nothing but it is the sample or the components to be separated. जो भी आपका sample रहेगा, that you will prepare a sample. First of all, you will prepare a sample, and before preparation of this sample, you will definitely going for the extraction, because only then you will obtain an extract. Okay, so let's focus here. What is the adsorbate? Adsorbate is the molecules of interest that is to be separated, isolated, identified, so further, so on. Okay, so adsorption chromatography, this is the basic principle of the adsorption. Just see here. So adsorption chromatography, the relative differences in the adsorption of the constituent of the given sample, and because of these differences, affinity towards the stationary phase, the component of the mixture adsorb will get separated. So I think this is clear now. So let's see again. If I talk about the adsorption chromatography, so we know for chromatography we require three things. First is the stationary phase, Okay, second is the mobile phase, and of course our sample. And in case of chromatography, or can say adsorption chromatography, in normal phase we can say stationary phase is polar, and mobile phase in case of adsorption chromatography normal phase, mobile phase is non-polar. And sample, yes, sample is a mixture, yes, it contain polar as well as it also contain non-polar compounds. Okay, so sample is a mixture of both the constituents. Okay, and in case of non-polar we are using the organic solvents as a non-polar compounds. So the question is how separation take place, how separation takes place. This is big question. So it has a simple answer. Separation take place because of affinity, affinity of compounds that is present in the sample towards either stationary phase or towards the mobile phase. Okay, I repeat, compounds get separated because of affinity of the compounds that is present in our sample towards the stationary phase or towards the mobile phase. If I say the compound that is the sample that I am using has higher affinity towards the stationary phase, it has higher affinity towards the stationary phase, then what will happen? It will try to remain fixed, try to remain static. And if the compounds which have higher affinity towards the mobile phase, what will happen? Mobile phase nature is of move, so these type of compounds will move apart. Okay, so in this way we can separate the components from a mixture. Please see again. Actually this is the column chromatography that we are going to cover this concept in detail, but just see this. The principle of column chromatography, it is a type of adsorption chromatography. That's why I'm showing this slide. In this, the compounds which have more affinity, the compounds means the compound present in the sample, present in the extract. Okay, the compound which have more affinity towards the stationary phase, they travel slower, and the compound which has lesser affinity towards the stationary phase means they have more affinity towards the mobile phase, they will travel faster because mobile phase has tendency to travel whereas stationary phase will remain stationary. How? Just see this. Yeah, this is an example of column chromatography. So this is a column, okay, and in this, yeah, this is a chromatography. So you need three things. You need stationary phase, yes, stationary phase is used, silica. Okay, and yes, mobile phase, yes, this is the solvent, and in between you need a mixture because here you have to go for the separation, isolation, identification part. So when you start this column, what will happen? Just see here, you start this solvent flows down the column, this solvent will start go inside the mixture. Here is the separation take place. How? The affinity of the compounds present in the mixture towards the stationary phase or towards the mobile phase. Okay, I am repeating again. The mixture, the compound present in the mixture have, if the compound present in the mixture have greater affinity toward this stationary phase, what will happen? They will elute later, they will not pass out quickly because the nature of the stationary phase is fixed to remain static. Whereas if the compound present in the mixture has greater affinity towards the mobile phase, they will elute first because they have greater affinity towards the mobile phase, and nature of mobile phase is to move out. Okay, see what is written here, y moves down the column more quickly than x, so leaves the column first. It means nothing, it means the y has greater affinity towards mobile phase, and mobile phase you are using in the column chromatography is of non-polar, means y is more non-polar as comparison to x compound. I think you have a brief idea about this. Okay, so see you in the next video. Thank you for listening. Acknowledgement. I welcome you all in the next video tutorial of the chromatography. So in this video, we are going to cover a simple concept of polarity index. So because in chromatography, we are using different type of organic solvents, and one should must know about the polarity of the organic solvents, because the principle of the chromatography is basically based upon the concept of polarity. Okay, so I hope you have idea of polarity. So let's start the polarity index. As we know, there are two type of compounds. Some organic solvents are polar and some are non-polar. When I say polar, so one thing came into my mind is the water. Water is the most polar. You can see it has a very high polarity index, that is 10.2, that is here it is water. Then above water there is acetonitrile, then acetone, methanol, number of solvents are there. In the top we have hexane. What does it means? What does it table reflect? It means that hexane is mostly non-polar and water is mostly polar. Okay, carbon tetrachloride again a non-polar. Okay, then if I say isopropanol, or I can say dichloromethane. So dichloromethane is more non-polar than isopropanol, or I can say methanol. If I say methanol, so I can say methanol and water. Which one is more polar? Yes, water is more polar than methanol. See again, the different solvents, these all solvents, why I'm showing you the solvent polarity chart or solvent polarity index, because we are going to use the solvents, different type of organic solvent in the chromatography. So one should must know about the polarity of the particular solvents. Only then we are able to isolate, separate, identify or purify something. Means only then we are able to chromatography is done. Okay, so water is the most polar and hexane, heptane and pentane are very less polar. Okay, suppose the difference between ethanol, so which one is more polar? You can see here the difference in the polarity index. Okay, then isopropanol, methylene chloride, and always remember this thing, these might vary with the grade of the solvent, because solvents, organic solvents came in different grades also. Okay, so these might vary also, so one should always prepare or see the label of the bottle while using the solvent for the chromatography. One should always read the bottle and the specification mentioned in the particular label. What are the polarity index, what is the purity, what are the percentage of the purity, etc, etc. Yes, there is another polarity chart is there with respect to the functional group. So non-polar to polar, these are most polar like water, carboxylic acids, amides, alcohols, and these are non-polar ones, that is alkanes, example petroleum ether, aromatics like toluene, benzene, ethers like diethyl ether. Okay, and there is a one low basic law in the chemistry that like dissolve like. So here it is. Oil and water do not mix, because yes, oil is non-polar and water is polar. And if we have to solubilize this oil, what will we use? We use the non-polar solvent. And if we have to mix this water, we will use the polar solvent like alcohol. And we know alcohol is mixed in water. So I hope you have a brief idea about the solvent polarity chart or solvent polarity index. So keep remember this thing, polarity from the non-polar to the polar, that is non-polar petroleum ether, toluene, CCl4, ethyl acetate, acetone, methanol, ethanol, and the most polar ones are the water, carboxylic acid, amides, etc. So see you in the next video. Keep reading. Yes, in the end, I acknowledge all the online platforms that I have used to prepare this video, especially YouTube, SlideShare, Google Images, etc. and other online platforms for preparation of this video. This video is not intended for any of the commercialization purpose. It is only intended for you, for your students, for the education purpose only. Thank you. I welcome you all in the next video tutorial of pharmacognosy and phytochemistry 2. So we have started a very important topic, that is the chromatography. So far we have covered the general definition of chromatography, the basic principle involved, that is the adsorption and partition. So in this video tutorial we are going to cover another important chromatographic part, that is the classification of chromatography. And I hope you remember that we have discussed that different scholars have classified chromatography in different ways. So we will do some important classification of chromatography. So before going further into the detail, let us recall the definition of the chromatography. As we have discussed, for chromatography you need two basic things, two phases. One is the stationary phase, that remains stationary as the name indicate, and other one is the mobile phase that will move. And of course you need a sample, and of course the sample is a mixture of at least two components, or in phytochemistry we can say a sample is a mixture of phytoconstituent, or it is an extract, and extract is nothing but extract is a complex mixture of phytoconstituents. So chromatography, yes, it is a separation technique. It is also used for the purification, identification, and last but not the least, it is used for the isolation also. So let's see again. Chromatography is a method of separation in which components to be separated are distributed between two phases. And one phase is known as the stationary and other one is known as the mobile phase. Okay, so why compound separated? We have also covered this. The compound gets separated due to affinity of the particular components to a particular phase. Okay, so I request you to please, again I am requesting you again and again, please go for video number 1, part 1 of the chromatography, then part 2, then after part 2 you will watch the video of adsorption and partition. Only then you will able to understand this classification of chromatography. So I again request you to go and watch those 4 videos again. So let's start. So we will focus on this classification approach, that is the first classification of chromatography on the base of interaction of solute to the stationary phase. And I hope you all know what is solute. Mentioned here is the, you are talking about your sample. Second is the, on the basis of the chromatographic bed shape, and third one is the, on the basis of physical state of mobile phase. So let's focus on the first one, on the basis of the interaction of solute to the stationary phase. So it, according to this classification, chromatography is divided into various types. Number one is of adsorption chromatography, second is partition, third is ion exchange, fourth one is the size exclusion chromatography. Okay, so this classification is based upon the interaction of the solute to the stationary phase. Please see again. Yes, in chromatography, solute refer to the sample component in various principles like adsorption or partition chromatography. Okay, so it refers to the sample components. So next classification on the basis of chromatographic bed, again very important and very simple also, 2D and 3D, two dimensional and three dimensional. And the two dimensional include very important commonly used laboratory techniques that we also use them in our laboratory, that is the thin layer and the paper chromatography. And this one is the column chromatography, is the three-dimensional approach. Please see this if you have any doubt regarding 2D and 3D. Definition: two-dimensional, three-dimensional. You call this, in 2D there is a dimension of length and height, whereas in 3D you have length, height and also width. Okay, it has a x and y axis. Yes, 3D has both x, y and z axis is also there. Okay, 2D shape includes circle, triangle, square, rectangle, whereas 3D include pyramid, cube, prism. So these all are the basic. Yes, 2D That is the TLC is a 2D technique. Paper chromatography again, two-dimensional paper chromatography, 2D. So this is the 3D technique, that is the column chromatography. Let's see another classification on the basis of the physical state of the mobile phase. And I hope you remember what is mobile phase, the move. And in case of, suppose in case of TLC, what is the mobile phase in TLC? That is the thin layer chromatography. Yes, we use organic solvents like chloroform, ethyl acetate, ethanol, methanol. These all are the mobile phases in TLC. So physical state of TLC classified into again three categories. Liquid chromatography. If the mobile phase is liquid, then chromatography is the LC, that is the liquid chromatography. And if the mobile phase is gas, yes, it becomes gas chromatography. And last, supercritical fluid chromatography, like carbon dioxide is also used as supercritical fluid. So it is a special type of chromatography, newer technique, that is supercritical fluid chromatography. So I hope you have a brief idea about the classification part. To see you in the next video. Thank you for your patience and listening. Yes, in the end, I acknowledge all the online platforms that I have used to prepare this video, especially YouTube, SlideShare, Google Images, etc. and other online platforms for preparation of this video. This video is not intended for any of the commercialization purpose. It is only intended for you, for your students, for the education purpose only. Thank you. I welcome you all in the next video tutorial in the thin layer chromatography series. So let's talk about the interpretation of the TLC, that is the RF value. So RF value known as the retardation or the retention factor. So just see, suppose this is your TLC plate and here is your application of sports. Here you apply your sport. And I hope you remember that we have to leave this at least 1 to 2 centimeter space of the TLC. Why? Because if we dip this TLC plate in the developing chamber, what happen if the spots are too deep? Suppose you have spot here. What will happen? The mobile phase will dissolve out all the spot, or you can say the sample. So always remember one thing, you have to put or apply the spot just above 1 to 2 centimeter of your TLC plate. And I hope you know about the solvent front also. So at the, suppose at this point you run your plate, and as you know, this sport is a, yes, it is a mixture, and it is a mixture of phytoconstituent in case of phytochemistry, of compounds, of components. And aim of the chromatography, or you can say aim of the TLC, is to separate out this mixture or to identify the compounds present in this mixture. So what happened when you run this plate in the appropriate mobile phase? What was happening is the compounds present in the mixture, suppose this mixture is present with combination of two components A and B, suppose, just assume that. So when you run this plate, so what happened? Chromatographic phenomena is achieved, and due to this the compounds get separated. Suppose this is the compound A, suppose, and here is the compound B, and at this point you have run your TLC plate. Suppose from this point to this point, this is known as your solvent front value. This is the solvent front value, and this is the distance traveled by your spot number A, and this is spot number B. So first of all, question arise, why? Means how this separation take place, and I hope you all know the answer. The separation take place, or we can say the compound in this mixture gets separated because of affinity of these compounds either towards stationary phase or towards the mobile phase. And we know in case of chromatography, in case of normal phase chromatography or TLC, yes, stationary phase is equal to the polar compound like silica gel G, whereas mobile phase is non-polar compound. Okay, so let's see. So due to affinity of the compound either towards stationary phase or towards mobile phase, they are separated. And if the compounds, like suppose this one, it has greater affinity towards the stationary phase, that's why it has a very less RF value, whereas this compound has greater affinity towards mobile phase and it shows high RF value. Okay, so RF value, let's talk about the RF value now. It is nothing but it is the ratio of, the distance traveled by this port, that is us suppose, divided by the distance traveled by this point, that is known as the solvent front. And what is solvent front? Solvent front is nothing but it is the distance from application of this port to the point at which your actual plate was run. So RF value is the distance traveled by this port divided by the distance traveled by the solvent front. So let's recall again the RF value from this site, that is the chem.libritex.org. What is the RF value? That is retention factor, distance traveled sample, or you can spot, divided by the distance traveled by the solvent front. Okay. See again. So this is the PDF from people.chem.umas.edu. So in this, RF value is clearly mentioned. So here is the starting point and here is the solvent front value where the actual movement of the mobile phase take place. And suppose here are the compound, this is the X is the nothing but it is solvent front, whereas the Y is the distance of the sport traveled. So RF value simply is nothing but the Y upon X. So Y is nothing but distance traveled by the sport divide the distance traveled by the solvent front, that is the X, and it should always be less than 1. Remember this thing. So suppose your solvent front value is suppose 8 centimeter, and suppose you have to calculate the RF value of A compound. RF value of A is equal to nothing but distance traveled by the sport. Suppose distance traveled by the sport is 4 centimeter divided by distance traveled by solvent front, yes, 8 centimeter. So it become your RF value. In the same way, you can calculate the RF value of B, that is distance traveled by sport. For example, let's say it is 5 centimeter and distance traveled by solvent front, let's say 8 centimeter. Always remember one thing, this value, the solvent front value, will remain constant throughout this one TLC or one procedure. See again the clear picture now. This is the point of origin or the point of sport, and this is your actually sport traveled, and this is the value of solvent front from this point to this point where the actual mobile phase moves. The distance is 2.8 centimeter and distance traveled by sport here is 2.1 centimeter. So RF becomes distance traveled by sport upon distance traveled by this solvent front, it is 2.8. Yes, RF value is 0.75. So RF value has a significance also. What is the significance of RF value? That is it gives us an idea of the polarity of the solvent. How? Yes, because as we know, so the answer lies in this. So because of affinity of the components present in the sample, they are separated. In this case, A compound has greater affinity towards the stationary phase. That's why it move less and it has lower RF value, whereas the compound B has greater affinity towards mobile phase, and so it has a high RF value. And in this case, particularly in the thin layer chromatography, normal phase, the solvent, or you can say the stationary phase we are using in the TLC is of polar nature, like silica gel. Okay, so that's why we can say this compound is more polar in comparison to this compound, whereas this compound as the component B is higher RF value and it has greater affinity towards the mobile phase. And what is the mobile phase in TLC? Yes, it is of non-polar in nature. So we can say that this compound is more non-polar as comparison to this compound. Okay, so TLC gives a brief idea about the polarity of the components present in the sample. It helps in the isolation or in the identification. Yes, it also helps in the isolation. How? There is a one type of TLC that is known as the preparative TLC, that is not in your syllabus mentioned, is not, but there is a preparative form of TLC that is widely used in the isolation of the particular compounds from a mixture. Always remember one thing. Okay, so I hope you have brief idea about the RF value. It is nothing but the distance traveled by the sport upon the solvent front, and it gives us a brief idea about the polarity of this mixture or the component to be separated. So see you in the next video. Thanks for your patience and listening. So in the last, this is very important information. As you all know, we have also submitted the Google form. So it is just that we are using, especially I am using various internet resources. Like I am exploring YouTube resources, I am directly using the SlideShare and Google Images, etc. just for the educational purpose. I am only using these platforms for making our particular topic video, so as the video will be made effective and it should be clearly understood by you. There is none other intention to make any profit or any commercialization of the any of the my videos. So I am preparing only for a lecture purpose, only for better understanding, nothing else. And I also request you all to maintain this dignity. Do not share this type of material with anyone except the prior permission of your authority, that is the director and the principal, sir. Okay, so I fully acknowledge all the resources that I have used in all my videos. I respectfully acknowledge all the online platforms that I have used to make this video or any other video, like open educational resources, YouTube, SlideShare, Google Images, etc. Okay, thanks for your valuable time and listening. Yes, in the end, I acknowledge all the online platforms that I have used to prepare this video, especially YouTube, SlideShare, Google Images, etc. and other online platforms for preparation of this video. This video is not intended for any of the commercialization purpose. It is only intended for you, for your students, for the education purpose only. Thank you.